Welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and we're going to be talking about how to exercise with anxiety. So this is something that's come up for a few recent clients. It's something that's kind of been part of my experience with personal training is people come to you, they ask questions on how to get healthier. And often that involves nutrition and training, and then you very quickly start finding out some of the background reasons as to why they're struggling with nutrition and training. And often it can be they don't know what to do, and then there's also the cases where there are just mindsets, life events, just things that are in the way. So as a trainer, it was easier for me in my earlier career to be able to answer the, nutrition and the training questions, but it was very difficult to figure out how to help people through the other more deep, meaningful type things, like things that got in the way emotionally, mentally, stuff like that. So as I've gotten further in my career, so I've been personal training now for 17 years, and you come across enough experiences. Each experience you come across, you try to, do reading, research, try to talk to more people, you learn what you can. And I've been lucky to work with a couple psychologists and counselors and stuff like that over the years to where I could kind of bounce ideas off of them and try to learn more on my own on how to help people through deeper issues. And there are cases where, people struggle with getting lean. Maybe they're overweight as a way to, in a sense, protect themselves from the world. So I've worked with females who've been abused in different ways, and being overweight was a way that they were able to kind of protect themselves, shield themselves from the world. And something that kind of brought to my attention in those conversations where they said, whenever you're overweight, no one really notices you in life. They don't notice you as much as if say you're a beautiful woman, and people are going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to maybe try to take advantage of you. You're going to gain having people stare at you, that kind of thing. So they found being overweight to actually be a protective mechanism. And then later in life, it became kind of a health problem. And they want to get rid of the negative consequences of their health from being overweight. However, they still have that emotional issue underlyingly that they have to fight around. So there's other situations as well. There have been people who have been rejected in various ways, whether it's relationships or otherwise. And they let their health go as a sense of either punishing themselves or feeling like the world was punishing them. So you have to tackle that issue before they can really gain traction on their health. I've also had people who had a hard time forgiving themselves for things that they've done in their life. And part of the ways that they were punishing themselves was being unhealthy and not taking care of themselves. So it's been an interesting part of my career is to see more of the reasons why people are overweight and out of shape and unhealthy, and recognizing, I'm sure when I was 14, 15, 16, when I was first starting into it, I would have had the mindset, overweight people are lazy, and that kind of aggressive, non-caring, non-understanding mindset. And very quickly when I got into personal training, I started personal training when I was 18 years old, for money. So people would start paying me that. So that's when I consider myself starting as a personal trainer because I got paid for it. But very quickly I realized, man, these people aren't lazy. They just, they either have their lives set up to where their health wasn't a priority. And we need to now make it a priority, which now means you have to deprioritize other stuff. So you almost have to help people learn how to manage and rearrange the components of their life so that way there's actually room for their own health in their life priorities. That's one situation. And then, like we said, the other stuff can be these mental things. So I've actually found it to be more often than not that the people aren't lazy. They're just, there's stuff in the way. That's it, It can just be that prioritizing factor. It can be, a lot of the cases is people just don't eat well, so therefore they don't have good energy. And then towards the end of the day, when they have get off work and they could be going to exercise, they just haven't fed themselves properly throughout the day. they feel worn out, they feel stressed, they feel tired. They just rather go home and relax and do nothing and kind of try to recharge for the next day. And I've found that if I can get their food right, get them living off of calories of food, not caffeine in their drinks, then all of a sudden they do have the energy and they can be a little more active. They're a little more excited, a little more happy in life. And a lot of their kind of problems of why health wasn't prioritized can be corrected. So that's a little bit of an extra kind of background here, but I just want to let people know if they're struggling with anything in the conversation I just said, that you're absolutely not alone, and that's actually overwhelmingly very common. So that people are going to have those type of struggles. So if you ever feel like you're alone and you're struggling to get a grip on your physical health, and part of that will, like if you do get a grip on your physical health, it can and will improve your emotional, mental, relational, spiritual health. It has overall life effect. So if you want to get a better grip on your physical health, but you're struggling with those other issues, number one, know you're not alone. Number two, feel free to reach out to us. So our email is brutalironjim@gmail.com. You're not going to get judged. So we all deal with our own kind of troubles. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about mine as we go through this podcast to know that I definitely won't be judging you. I have my own things I need to work on before I need to worry about anybody else. And then also we do know people and have access to people that might be able to help you. So if you want to take that next step, but you've been struggling to do so, send us an email, okay? brutalironjim@gmail.com. So, now, if you've ever had anxiety, and you've wanted to get back to exercising, or you wanted to just start exercising and you never did it before you had anxiety, holy crap, is that a freaking hard road to go down. So, you're going to hear people say, like, oh, you should get out of the house, you should go be active, or, oh, you should go out and meet people, you know? They'll say, go join a class at a gym, you'll meet a lot of fun people, and all that advice means well. And when you're the one with the anxiety, you're just going to find ways to shut down that advice, ways in which why that isn't right for you, or it's not the right time, or just they don't understand. And when I went through that, like I had anxiety, I don't want to go through too long of my history because this isn't about me, it's about how to help everybody. But I want to let you guys know that I've had anxiety to the point where it really did hinder my training significantly. So I've never missed more than a week of training in 20 years. Yeah, in 20 years, I've never missed more than 7 days. I've only ever missed 7 days twice. So I've only ever taken a week off twice in 20 years. But one of the weeks that I had no training was 100% due to anxiety. And I remember when I started trying to get back into training, one of the things that kind of triggered my anxiety was I actually had headphones at the time that were like kind of bigger headphones that would go over your ears. And for some reason that would freak me out. So I would start to work out and I'd have the headphones on. I'd feel like kind of claustrophobic or overwhelmed or just I don't even know what the heck was going on. You just start getting, that like panic breathing. Your body starts getting that kind of like numb, tingling, I don't know, it's just a weird, really weird sensation. And I panicked, freaked out, had to take the headphones off. Actually, I had to go buy a different type of headphone because I couldn't put those damn big ones back on. I remember I'd also get like panicky and anxiety whenever I would start getting overheated. I'm not really sure what the case was. Like I've trained, since I was 15 years old. I'm used to being out of breath. I'm used to being hot as hell. I'm used to throwing up from training. But for some reason, it was just like you're weakened by the anxiety and by the stress internally that, those normal stressors that you could handle are all of a sudden just kicking your butt. So that was something that really challenged me whenever I was trying to work back into it. And I would get advice from people, and I knew they meant well. And now that I'm kind of on the other side of the anxiety, like I still have some anxiety here and there, but I'm definitely past it to the point where it doesn't influence my training much. What I realized is the advice they were trying to give, at the time I felt like, you just don't understand. You don't know, you don't know, you don't know. And then I came across a quote that really struck me at that time. And the quote was, "If I change nothing, nothing will change." And I recognized that whether they were right or not, whether people's advice was right or not, whether, like, it didn't really matter about anyone else, what they were saying or what they were doing. What mattered to me and what mattered for my future was that if I changed nothing, nothing would change. So if I was letting anxiety hold me back from, living a more broad, expanded life, the life that I'd wanted to live, if I didn't fight against that, it would always be there. So again, if I didn't change anything, then nothing was going to change. So I knew I had to start doing something. I had to start figuring out a way to work through it, work around it, because again, if I change nothing, nothing will change. So if you don't like where you're at currently in life, your emotional, mental health, that kind of stuff, and actually just anything really, overall in life, if you don't like something, if you don't change anything about it, nothing will change. So you have to accept that doing nothing is a choice. By doing nothing, you're choosing to do nothing. You're choosing to not move forward. Now, there is the risk that what you do might cause you to move backward. So maybe we all know that in the gym, in order for us to get stronger, we have to go into the gym. We have to damage our body in the sense of lifting weights to cause muscular damage, to cause system stress. So in order for us to get in better aerobic condition, we have to stress our current aerobic abilities. For us to get stronger, we have to stress our current strength abilities. For us to get bigger muscles, we have to stress our current muscular abilities. We have to cause stress to the system. Then through food and sleep, the system can regrow and grow and expand beyond that stress we created. We get a bigger comfort zone. Then again, we go out, we stretch that comfort zone, we give our body time to heal, and all of a sudden our comfort zone gets even bigger. So we have to do the same thing with anxiety, is we have to start to test it, start to stretch the walls of it. Now, you will not be able to do that if anxiety is totally fresh and totally new. So right now, if you're really, really, really having a hard time with anxiety, you're probably just having a hard time, like you're probably stretched to your limits already. And what will happen is as you learn to adjust and adapt for whatever your adaptation process is, it's going to look a little different for everybody. But once you feel like there's any leeway, like there's any wiggle room, like you're thinking, okay, the last couple of days I actually did pretty good, or the last week or two I haven't had major flare-ups, well then it's probably start time to poke a little bit, to kind of push those walls a little bit. And it doesn't mean you have to do anything crazy or anything big. So I've had clients over the years, and also myself, whenever I was getting back into it, how much you did or what you did didn't matter at all. It was the fact you just did something. So I remember I had a client, they had a house configuration that allowed them to walk in like a figure 8. And this is no lie. The client would do, I think, I'm pretty darn sure it was like 50 to 100 laps in their house. It was just a small like figure 8 through the house. And but that's what their exercise would be, is they would just walk the figure 8. And every time they'd walk past something in their house, they said they would put a check mark. So they had like a marker or a pen or I don't know. They would just mark it every time they did a lap. Mark it every time they did a lap. Mark it. And then that was something because they were afraid to kind of leave their house. They didn't really want to leave the house. So I've had people just walk around their neighborhood or walk around their yard. So you don't have to go to the gym for it to be exercise. You can just be moving. Just do something. So there's actually a push-up protocol by Josh Bryant, who's an awesome strength and conditioning coach. So if you ever want to look him up on YouTube, his YouTube channel name is Jailhouse Strong. His actual name is Josh Bryant. But he has really awesome information. And one of the things he has, I believe, is called Tijuana push-ups. And what it is you kind of stand across a room or a space. Doesn't really matter if you're in a room or not. But you would do 20 push-ups. You'd walk about 10 feet. You do 1 push-up. You walk back where you started 10 feet. You do 19 push-ups. You walk back the 10 feet. You do 2 push-ups. So you walk from place A to B, back and forth, back and forth. And on place A, you do push-ups from 20 down to 1. On place B, you do push-ups from 1 up to 20. So I've done that before, and holy crap, does that really, that actually wears you out. And then I've given it to clients in variables. Like sometimes I'll have them go by twos. So they'll go like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That way, maybe that was the best of their abilities. Or they'll go by threes or something. We've modified it a bit. But that's a good way to kind of get push-ups in. And we've also done that with like different things. So maybe they'll do push-ups on place A, but sit-ups on place B. Or bodyweight squats in place B. So we'll just kind of use that format. And what it does is, the walking 10 feet doesn't seem like much, but it gives you an active rest. So if I told you to do 20 push-ups, then just wait 30 seconds. That 30 seconds, you're going to start getting, kind of sidetracked mentally. You get like more tempted to look at your phone, testing to see if it was really 30 seconds yet. Whereas if you just walk 10 feet, you meander 10 feet. When you get there, you do a push-up. You meander 10 feet. When you get there, you do a push-up. So it just kind of keeps you more active in the rests, so that way you stay more focused on what you're actually doing. But that would be the idea, is finding what can you do. Finding what type of activeness will your mind and emotions allow you to do. So if it's just walking figure eights in your house, hey, somebody has done that before. So it does count. It is moving. I've done those Tijuana push-up routine before, and that counts. It actually kicks your butt, so that definitely counts. Like I said, people have walked in their yards. People have taken their dogs. Maybe they'll take a dog or a pet or something for a walk in the neighborhood every night, and that starts getting them out and about, start getting them moving. So don't set up parameters where you think you have to be at a gym, or you think you have to do 60 minutes of this or 30 minutes of that. Don't set any parameters, okay? Just say, I'm going to do something today that is more than nothing. If I just do a 30-second stretch for a tight muscle, that counts. Maybe I'm going to do, like there's YouTube videos for at-home workouts that don't require any equipment at all, just your body weight. And I've sent those to clients for various reasons. There's 10-minute workouts, 20-minute workouts, 30-minute workouts, where you just kind of move around and they have them timed out. There's somebody showing you the exercises you would do. So that's an option you could do. It doesn't require any equipment. You can do it at your house. So it's just starting with something. And the idea of it is at first you're going to struggle with, maybe even like you're going to know that you should do something, but you're going to struggle with the purpose of why to do it. Why even bother? And that's often going to be the case when somebody's dealing with depression as well as anxiety, which the two go hand in hand sometimes. And the why even bother is, again, if I change nothing, nothing will change. If I don't like the way I'm living now, if it doesn't feel good, if it's not me getting the most out of life, the most out of my potential, if I change nothing, nothing will change. I'm going to stay right there. I'll stay in the unhappiness. I'll stay in the unfulfillment of what my life really could be. So why even bother? What your purpose is to regain control of your life. Regain control of your sense of self. Regain control of your mind. So it's one thing to lose physical health, but it's a whole new demon to lose mental health. Okay? So if you want to get back in charge of your mental health, you have to start in some way. And for some people, building up physical strength, building up physical accomplishments can then make them feel better, like self-confidence wise. They can feel more in control, and you start having more mental health benefits because your physical health is improving. Okay, so that's a big thing. So your sense of purpose, your why even bother, is just to regain control of your life, regain control of the sense of yourself. And you can set small goals. Some people, they might have the goal of being active every day this week, and that's big enough to motivate them. That's as big as their comfort zone allows. I've had other clients where they started having anxiety for various reasons. I don't want to share too many details. But they had anxiety to leave the house. And one of them created the goal of doing a competition. And they wanted to do, it was like, we'll just say it was a strength or an aesthetic competition. Again, I don't want to give the details away. But they did a competition of some sort. And what they found was that they started that goal about 4 months ahead from when the competition was. And so they gave themselves a reasonable amount of time. And they knew that it wasn't going to be easy right away. And at first they were having anxiety, and they were supposed to go to the gym for some of their workouts and just couldn't make it. So I told them in their programming, we had the YouTube videos for at-home workouts. And I said, hey, going to the gym is the best, but if you can't get there, do this instead. But do something every day. Just do one sit-up, one push-up. No matter how bad the anxiety gets, just do one rep of one thing. And they did it. So they started pushing their comfort zone. They started kind of increasing, and they eventually did the competition, and they did well. And it was exciting to see somebody go from where they were emotionally and mentally to where they were having trouble leaving their house, having trouble going to work, didn't want to see family, didn't want to see friends, none of that stuff. To all of a sudden they're on a stage, and competing in front of hundreds of people. And it was just amazing to see somebody go through that transformation. And that can be something for people. So I've had another person, they took on, part of their unhappiness was they didn't like their work. So they set the goal of, I think it was like 4 months or something like that, where they wanted to apply for a new job. So they took on going back to getting some kind of certification or some kind of testing, I forget what it was. But they got some kind of certification that they needed for the new job. They gave themselves the months they needed to do it, and then that was what helped push them and stretch their comfort zone. So that's the thing, is like, why even bother? What's your purpose? Is if you change nothing, nothing will change. So you have to get the ball moving. You have to get started in some way. And like I said, it can be as simple as just a push-up a day, a sit-up a day. Just do something a day. So even if it's small and trivial, why does it matter? Because it's the start of a journey. Okay, I know this is so cliche to say that, if you want to walk a mile, you got to start with the first step, as they say. But that's what one rep of something can be for you, is it can be your first step. Okay? So, that can be some of the things, some of the mindset we can think of that helps. Another thing that's really going to help is to not have the sense or the feeling that you're alone. So I had a very good friend of mine, whenever I was struggling with my anxiety, they brought up this term, I believe the term was QRF, Quick Response Force, and it came from kind of like the military. And what it was, in our definition of it is if I was ever in trouble, or if they were ever in trouble, because they were going through some stuff in their own life as well. So it kind of worked out that we were both going through some issues. So it's kind of like AA, like Alcoholics Anonymous. We both got to kind of help each other through it. So we decided to be QRF partners, so Quick Response Force partners. And what it was is you would text the person or call them and say QRF. And no matter what, our promise to each other was, regardless of anything that was going on at that moment, you would, if they texted you that, you would call them immediately. So, or if you were on the phone and they said, hey man, I just got to talk, QRF, you would drop everything you were doing. That became the highest priority. And we agreed to do that for each other because we both needed that sense of not being alone. We both needed that sense of being supported. And that was something that really helped a lot, was just knowing that somebody I could rely on, somebody who would understand, was only one phone call away. And that would help calm nerves. Even when I didn't call them, I could pull out my phone and just type QRF and just, sit there and breathe. And if I wanted to send it, I could. And I knew that they would answer back. But just knowing you had that support was a big thing. Another thing is for people who are maybe spiritual or religious, it's believing that God is there for you. So, listening to podcasts or sermons is a really cool way to kind of feel connected with God. So that way you can kind of, if you hear about the good things in life, it helps remind you that not everything is bad. And that there are challenges in life, and maybe right now you're just going through a challenge, but you're not alone. So you can have God there to support you. You can have a QRF partner. So I know sometimes when people struggle with anxiety and depression, they start to, in a sense, blame God, or blame spiritual, blame the universe or whatever they might believe in. So sometimes you might not be ready to have God as your support system. So that's where having a QRF partner can make a big difference. So, but that's something you want to think of, is you're not alone, not at all. So, and that's where I said at the very beginning of the podcast, is there are a lot of people, way more than I ever would have thought, before I started this job that struggle with this kind of stuff. And we don't talk about it much in society, but it is common. And people go through waves of it. So sometimes somebody's in the darkest depths, and sometimes somebody's got kind of their way out of that. So it's nice for us all to connect and help each other through, so that way whenever we need the help, they're there for us too. So so you're not alone. So if you think having somebody there to support you would be helpful, then again, think of God, think of spirituality, think of the bigger picture kind of thing, and know that that person is with you. You can also have a QRF partner, so you can find somebody that you think might understand, or somebody who struggled in their own ways, and ask them to help you with your struggle. And you guys can just agree on, guys and girls, sorry, but you can agree to do the QRF kind of a partnership. Is anytime they need something, if they text QRF, everything drops. You call them immediately. Okay? And like I said, you can always shoot us an email, brutalironjim@gmail.com, and we'll help you through it as well. Okay? So I'll give you some ideas that have worked with past clients. You can also just shoot us an email and just tell us your story if you want. So just having somebody read it, having somebody listen to you can help a lot. Just feeling like, again, you're not alone and feeling like you're being heard can help. Okay? So the biggest thing I can kind of give you guys, if you're struggling with anxiety and you want to get control of your life again, and you want to get back to exercising, you want to get back to a healthy version of you, not only physically but mentally, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, everything, is to remember that if I change nothing, nothing will change. So as uncomfortable as that first step might seem, or as meaningless as that first step might seem, that why even bother creeps into your head. Just remember that you have to change something for things to change, okay? That one step is the start of the change. That one step is the start of a new story of your life. Okay, we've done a podcast in the past about being the author of your own story. That your story, like your life, is a story being told every day. And you want to be the author, not the narrator. What that means is you don't want to, the narrator just reacts to the story that's being told. An author creates the story being told. So be the author. Okay? Take control, make a change, make that first step. Get back the life that you want. Okay? Cool. So again, if you need any help doing that, please reach out to us. Our email is brutalironjim@gmail.com. So if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. Also, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. So the more people we help, the happier the world will be. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we would love to hear from you. So the podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. And you can reach us at our email at brutalironjim@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.